Hey guys, Joe here, and here we are for another Smash discussion. And in this Smash discussion, I would like to talk to you all about how pretty much in Smash Bros. And games like Smash Bros, you do not have to be the best, you do not have to be as good as a pro, and you can just be good, and that's fine. Now, I do feel like a lot of people, that's my phone, a lot of people do need to hear this topic, just because I feel like not enough people are hearing it, and nobody really tells it to people, because really on the internet most of the time people say, be the best, be number one, otherwise you're trash. But what I want to get into a lot of people's minds is that you don't have to be number one, you don't have to be the best, but you can still be good at the game, you can still enjoy it, and you can still do okay at tournament level. Now, to be honest, I think I'm an okay level tournament player, but I am definitely not the best. Most of you, not most of you, I don't know. A certain amount of you could probably easily beat me, and really, I don't care way too much. I'd like the battles, I'd like to enjoy playing them against you, getting better and stuff like that. Eventually, I want to start streaming a bit with just practicing my new secret main, and then pretty much, I'll probably lose a ton, but it'll just be really fun. But essentially, you don't have to be the best. Now, the problem and the thing that's making a lot of people think you have to be the best is the fact that you can easily watch the best players in the entire world anytime you want playing their character. So, for example, if you see like Zero Sheik or Nairo Zero Suit Samus, and then you compare it to one of your friends, you'll say, wow, my friend is trash, he's not good at this character at all, and Zero is just so much better, wow. But in reality, your friend may not be that bad, or you might be comparing it to yourself, you may not actually be that bad. You may be able to beat quite a bit of people, may do well on For Glory, may do well on Anther's Ladder and stuff like that. Just because you can't beat the best player in the world doesn't mean you're bad. I don't know whoever got this philosophy, but I think it's really bad one that just the fighting game community has in general. For example, let's take the NFL. Let's say you took a middle school football team against the NFL, and you said, go at it, try to enjoy, and whatever. You might be a good middle school football team, you might be good, you might be really great for your middle school, but against the NFL, you're gonna get wrecked. And people are gonna, people won't really say you're bad though, because, you know, they knew that you really didn't stand much of a chance, and they just knew that you did your best, you did okay, and it's not that bad. But in fighting games, if you haven't played that long, if you just haven't practiced as much, you're just labeled as terrible and really bad if you don't beat the best players in the world, which is just really janky and doesn't make any sense. Now, I know some people say, like, intermediate level players, you know, intermediate level tournament players. Well, if a top 32 player in Apex or something is an intermediate player, then that's a way too high bar for intermediate. I know some people say maybe only top 128. Even so, think about how many people play Smash Brothers. That's not intermediate, that's still on the high level. We think about, well, in my personal opinion, we think about competitive way too highly. Like, we think competitive, if you're not the very best, you are the very worst. And I think this really does hurt our community, and overall, it just makes it really hard for new players to get into the community. Now, it's really hard, especially for people that have never gone to any tournaments or stuff, because it's kind of like, if you don't do well, you feel like everybody's just going to hate on you, not do very good stuff with you, because that's what happens on the internet. Now, in person, people don't really do that. People are actually a lot more respective in person. Respective, I can't remember the word. They're more respectful, that's the word. People are more respectful in person, but online, you just kind of get used to people being mean, and it just kind of ruins it a little bit. But with this video, I hope that it'll help you a little bit, is the fact that it is definitely okay if you're good, but you are not a top level player. That is completely fine, and unless you do want to become the best player in the world, which a lot of people shouldn't want to do, I mean, just playing the game for fun is good enough, but it's okay to be a okay level tournament player, a okay level person nearby. It's okay to be okay, and I feel like people know this, people think that in their head. A lot of times, my topics, people do know this stuff, but sometimes they just need to hear, sometimes people just need to hear somebody that's saying it in a video form, and sometimes it'll just go through their head, and just help them improve overall. Now, a thing that I also really think is bad, is that when you label all these people as bad, it does really lose their motivation. I know the first time I did an online tournament, I did it really bad. It was a Mewtwo only tournament. It was, well, this was one of my worst experiences with tournaments. I just did really terrible. I somehow won the first round, but it was on stream. I was doing really bad. I was being made fun of a little bit by the streamer, and then the next round I got completely wrecked by the next person. And I wasn't very good at Mewtwo, still am not, but it was really demotivating, and it just kind of made me like not want to play the game because I was being labeled as bad, trash. I'm not even good. I was fighting against some of the better Mewtwo players, but still, it just kind of, you know, hurts inside when people call you that. And that's just what our community does, which is just really bad. Now, I know I've heard stories, I was definitely not old by then, but back in the 2000s and stuff like that, back in arcades and stuff, you never saw the very, very high-level professional players. You just saw your guys at your local arcade, so, you know, you didn't really think that much of people. You didn't, like, say your friends were really trash. If your friends beat you, they were a good player. Now, if your friends beat you, you may still think they're a bad player because they're not quite as good as these other guys at very top-level tournaments, which is just kind of bullcrap and just, It's just something that's going on within our community, that if you're not the best, you're the worst, and that's a really, really bad mentality that I feel like we need to somewhat get rid of. Now, I feel like at the same time, this is kind of like the competitive mentality, but, you know, you can still kind of switch it around a little bit. You don't always have to say that if you're not the best, you're the worst. You can say if you're not the best of the best, you can still be good. Being good is fine, and I feel like we need to show that a little bit more. Maybe not even just tournament play, maybe just in the game in general. Being good is fine. If you're one of the best players, this is something I've seen a little bit, a lot of the best players will also just like name call, not really name call, they'll like shout out people like saying like you're trash and stuff. You know, it's all fun and games, but online people still follow this like philosophy. Pretty much the people in pro games, you know, they'll shout out, do that, all that like BM and stuff, but that's because they personally know their opponent. If you're playing online, you don't personally know your opponent. They won't think it's funny, they'll just get really annoyed, think you're being rude. And this is just something I don't feel like a lot of people realize and a lot of people don't really care about. Just being BM in a game like this, it really kind of ruins the competitivity, and it just kind of makes people just want to stop playing the game, and that's just really hard. But other than fixing the community, you just have to, at least for yourself, stop caring about everybody thinking that you're bad. Stop caring about trying to become the best. Just try to be good enough for yourself. Be good enough that you think you're happy where you're at. Maybe try hard, maybe become one of the best, but you don't have to be. This is just what I want to get across. To have fun at a video game competitively, you do not have to be the very best of the entire universe, the entire world. You don't have to be the best. You can just be good, you know? You can win a few matches, lose a few matches, and that's all fine and dandy. You do not have to be the next Zero, winning tournament after tournament. That doesn't have to be your life. You just have to play well, have fun, and that's just what video games are. Overall, it's just for having fun, doing as well as you possibly can, but at the same time, not taking it way too seriously. Now, I hope this video did kind of help you a little bit. Not really way too exact, but hope that it did kind of help you, kind of like motivate you a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit of a shot call to all the community, how we can maybe change a bit. But if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be making sure to do another one of these discussions on Wednesday or Tuesday or something like that. Maybe next Sunday, because I do these every Sunday. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me in your opinion in the comment section below if it's okay to be good, or if you think you gotta be an MLG pro. Or just tell me any stories you have of people just being rude because you weren't the best, or of how people were actually very nice even though you weren't the best and how they helped you. A little bit of motivation, which would always help the community around. Thank you guys for watching though. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.